Hey everybody, this is Dawn from Small Footprint Family, and I recently put up a post about how to embed a pin in your blog post, and I had several people ask me a bunch of technical questions either privately or on the post, and so I thought I would make a little video to show you exactly how I do it and how to optimize your Pinterest image for fast load times and SEO. So here goes. Right here is an example of my latest post with an embedded pin, and because I've embedded the pin, this encourages people to repin and repin and repin it. So you can see that I have 50 repins so far just off of embedding the pin. This is different than having people click my Pinterest button, because every time someone clicks my Pinterest button and uses the social sharing buttons, they're basically pinning it as if for the first time, which is great. I love that they're sharing it, but it doesn't give me the kind of repins on my board, in this case my organic gardening and homesteading board, that I would like to see to maximize my search algorithm and everything else in Pinterest that enables my pin to get in front of more people in the feed. So embedding the pin enables, well, it encourages people to repin and repin and repin rather than to just pin it using social sharing as a one-off. So here's how I do it. I'm going to go ahead and put an embedded pin here in my old but popular post, Why Sea Salt is Good for You. It's been a very popular post, but I've never actually embedded a pin for it before, so I'm wondering if I can get more out of it by going back into my popular posts and adding these embedded pins. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the editor in WordPress and edit this post. It looks just like any other post that you would have in WordPress. And I'm going to go into the text editor as opposed to the visual editor. And I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom because this is where I want to put my pin in. In order to get my pin in, I need to first put in a Pinterest sized image. So I do most of my Pinterest images in Canva. I really like Canva because they have great templates, and it enables me to create lots of Pinterest images that all have that branded Small Footprint Family look that I'm going for. Because this way when people see my pins in their feed, because they're branded, they recognize it as, hopefully they recognize it as a Small Footprint Family post. And then when you look at my boards, especially the board just for my blog, everything has sort of a uniform design, which I really like. So I created a Pinterest pin for this post already, and you'll see that Canva, you can do this in PicMonkey or in Photoshop too, but Canva has a nice template specifically for Pinterest graphics. And the proper Pinterest graphic size these days is 735 pixels by 1102 pixels. It used to be 419 by 800, and those are still fine and they work just fine, but the latest standard is 735 by 1102, which is actually a really large image, which is nice. When you click on the pin, it's really big and showy, but when you put this size graphic in your blog post, it's just enormous. But I go ahead and I make the Pinterest graphic at this size, and I'm going to go ahead and place it into my post. So once I've made my graphic, I'm going to go ahead and download it to my downloads folder. But before I put it on my blog, I am going to compress this image so that it is at the smallest size possible, and it is fully compressed before I upload it. So I'm going to do that by going to a site called TinyPing. And TinyPing is basically tinypng.com. Will compress your files for you and make them the smallest size that they can be before you upload them. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag the the Pinterest image onto the TinyPing window and let it do its thing. ahead and move this over to my Pinterest images folder. For some reason it did not. Go ahead and try again. I had an error there. There it goes. And you can see that it was 723 kilobytes in size, and now it is only 161 kilobytes in size, saving me 78%, which is great. If you can upload and compress all your images to TinyPing before you put them on your blog, your images are going to load much faster, and you're going to make Google much happier when it comes to grading your site for speed and functionality. It's also going to improve your SEO because your site is going to load faster with these compressed images. So I'm going to go ahead and download the compressed image, and I'm going to place it in my Pinterest image folder, replacing that larger image. Then I am going to go back to my blog post, and I am going to place it into my blog post using the text editor. Now you can see that it's uploaded into my media library. I'm going to make my alt text the same as my title here, and I've chosen, it's the same title as the blog title, but you want to choose something that is either the same as your blog title or is SEO friendly if you have a really obscure blog title. Sometimes that happens. And then under the description, I'm going to paste the description of the photo. Basically, it's a description that I'm using for my pin. It says salt has earned a bad reputation, but you may not know that there are different kinds of salt. Unrefined natural salt is better than regular table salt, and contrary to conventional wisdom, it is vital to good health. Click to find out why. I put a call to action in each of my pins and in my picture descriptions to hopefully encourage more people to click to find out why. And I'm going to go ahead and then, now that I've put in the title, the alt text, and the description, I'm going to go ahead and insert this image into my post. And you can see the code is shown up here at the bottom. Again, I'm still working in the text, not the visual section of the editor. And then I'm going to go ahead and update the post. I have too many tabs open, so I'll take me a second here. And then I am going to go ahead and view the new post. And you'll see the Pinterest image that I created in Canva at the end of the post. So there it is, and you can see it's just enormous. 735 pixels is the width of my entire blog field here, and it just takes up a tremendous amount of space, way too much space. So I'm not going to leave it like this, but I do need to use it to put a pin on my board. So that's what I'm going to do with this image while it's here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pin this using the little pin it button that I have installed on my blog here. You could just as easily use the social sharing pin button or whatever pin button you have on your site. I'm going to go ahead and make sure my description is correct. Everything looks beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and put this in my real food nutrition board here. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it. And then it goes away. And I'm going to come over here to my real food nutrition board, and the pin will show up there for me. And there it is right there. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that pin, and you can see that that larger image just makes a really nice Makes a really nice pin when you actually click on it and open it up. It's really lovely to have such a nice large image. Now from here, there's these three little dots up here, and you're going to click on them, and you're going to see the word embed, and you go ahead and click embed, and it's going to give you the Pinterest widget builder, and from here you can build your pin to embed into your post. Now you have the choice between small, medium, and large Pinterest pins to embed. I like to use medium. That's just my personal preference. You can also hide the description if you don't want to have the description in your embedded pin. I like to keep the description. And then you'll be given two pieces of code. This bottom piece of code can be placed into your post along with the pin, but I actually prefer to put this code into the same place in my theme where the Google Analytics code goes, because once it's in there once, it's in there for every single page, so I don't have to keep pasting it into every single post. So this bottom code, you can either put it in the post, or you can simply put it into the part of your theme where you put your Google Analytics, and that's usually a window within your general settings for your theme. A lot of themes, especially premium themes, are very convenient. They give you a little box to put things like Google Analytics code or Facebook code or tint code or any of the other types of codes that you might need to place. So this is where you would put that. But if you don't have a space like that, you can simply place it in the post. Up here, this is the actual code for the embedded pin. And so I'm going to go ahead and copy that so I can paste it into my blog post. Now I'm going to come on back here to my blog post. Again, I'm using the text editor, and I'm going to go ahead and paste that pin code in there. Now, this is one thing that I do. It's a little bit different that I recommend. This code right here is for the image, that huge, ginormous image that's taking up way too much space in my blog post. I don't want to delete it because I want that image to be available to people who use the little pin button on the side of my blog. But I don't want it to show up in my blog post. So in order to have it available to social sharing but not visible in the blog post, you need to add a little bit of code. Now I add that code right before the alt tag. You can see the alt tags is basically the title of the pin, or the title of the blog post. And so right before that, I'm going to go ahead and type this: style equals quote display colon none semicolon quote space. So with HTML, you have a tag, and then an equal sign, and then whatever that is supposed to be always goes inside quotes. So the width of this image is the tag, it equals, and then in quotes, 735 pixels. The height equals, in quotes, 1102 pixels. The style here equals, in quotes, display none. I don't want it to display. I want it to be present in the post, but I don't want it to display. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And then I also like to have my pins centered in the middle of my post. So I'm going to add a little HTML there too. Paragraph style equals quote text align center quote. And everything goes inside the brackets here. And then on the other side of the pin tag, I'm going to close it up with the \P, which is for paragraph. So this right here is my pin code. I've added a little bit HTML to center it, and you can go ahead and copy this if you like. And then here is the pin code, and then I close up the tag. Now I'm going to go on up here, and I'm going to update the post, again staying in the text editor. If you switch to visual, the code for the pin will simply disappear, and it's really annoying. It's just a quirk of WordPress that any code that you place will disappear when you switch back to the visual editor. So it doesn't matter if you're placing MailChimp code or you know, an embedded Google or Google Plus post or Facebook post. It doesn't matter. As soon as you place that code and switch to the visual editor, it simply disappears, and it's just terribly annoying. I hope at some point they fix that in WordPress. So you can see that everything, you know, is here. If I switch to visual and then I switch back, come back down here to the bottom, you can see the code just disappeared. It's just gone. Poof. It's incredibly annoying. So if you need to edit the post later for any reason, do so in the text editor and make sure that you've got that pin code handy in case for some reason you accidentally make it disappear. So I'm going to go ahead and update again since I showed you what happens when you switch to visual. And I'm going to go ahead and view the post so that you can see what we got. So we go ahead and scroll down to the end of the post, and there's the pin, just like we wanted it to be. And the huge image that was there is no longer there anymore. But it is available. For example, if I use the social sharing button, you can see that that large image that we made in Canva is still there. It's just not visible in the blog post. But I wanted to make it invisible but still there in the post so that anyone who chose to use the social sharing buttons would have access to it so that they could pin it themselves from the social sharing buttons. But because I've made it so convenient for them to post, to pin and repin and repin and repin the image and the pin that I choose for them by embedding it in the post, at least so far I've been really driving up those repins on my board, which is really great, and hopefully will end up in more traffic to my blog. So that's it. That's how you do it. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section and I'd be happy to answer them.